Of all the creatures in the sauropod family, Amargasaurus titanicus is likely the most unique in appearance. It sports 2 parallel rows of dorsal spines down the length of its neck, back, and tail, though the neck spines are significantly longer than the back or tail spines. These spines are a remarkable adaptation, giving Amargasaurus unmatched control of its body temperature. Made even more marvelous by their time on this ark, their spines store both extreme heat and extreme cold, effectively allowing Amargasaurus to live comfortably in any environment. Its sails also make it an abnormally capable swimmer for a sauropod. Unlike most sauropods, Amargasaurus is very prone to violent aggression, attacking most predators and humans on sight. I suspect this behavior developed alongside the dangerous spines it uses as weapons. Once finally tamed, it's no surprise that Amargasaurus's regenerating spines can be put to potent use. If removed early, their thermal storage becomes erratic, which is perfect for catalyzing sap extraction in large trees. Some tribes, inevitably, have adapted this thermal quirk for combat. By coaxing the Amargasaurus to eject a spine before it sheds naturally, the disruptive thermal waves which emanate from the spike can wreak havoc on nearby armor materials. Interestingly, simple armor is barely affected, while armors constructed of more complex attributes are rendered largely useless. Such a strange reaction. But then, little about this particular art seems sensible to me. Andrewsarchus is a beast that's full of surprises. These ungainly creatures might seem sluggish while foraging for a meal, but they can move unexpectedly fast when provoked. Like certain other whippomorphs, Andrewsarchus will aggressively defend its territory against interlopers. With some distance between you, it may be possible to dodge a charging Andrewsarchus. They don't exactly turn on a dime. Just don't expect a river or lake to protect you from one. As long as its feet can reach the bottom, Andrewsarchus will plough its way right through deep water. These scavengers will tear into just about anything if hungry, but they've got a bit of a sweet tooth. I've seen many an agitated Andrewsarchus pacified by some honey. Once tamed, Andrewsarchus is a reliably fast beast of burden, as long as you don't need it to take any corners at full speed. Its density in water also makes Andrewsarchus ideal for searching ocean floors for pearls, since it sinks so readily to the bottom. The preferred saddle design includes a mounted minigun to target foes, while the driver stays safe inside their airtight armoured enclosure. Though a fully armoured Andrewsarchus can't absorb as much damage as some of the Ark's larger creatures, it still excels at harassing them. I feel lucky to have crossed paths with Carcharodontosaurus medicupestis and lived to tell the tale. Though I'm not sure if this predator grows bigger than a Giganotosaurus, I hope to never find out. Just one of these bruises held its own against an army of us, and that encounter cost us dearly. Carcharodontosaurus can sweep aside attackers with its tail, but it's the other end you'll really want to avoid. It has teeth like steak knives, set in jaws strong enough to shred most prey. Even a near miss will carve you up, but good. Like its namesake, the great white shark, Carcharodontosaurus gets more dangerous once it tastes blood. Each kill seems to give these monsters a rush and drive it into a berserker frenzy. Anyone that manages to tame a Carcharodontosaurus will gain a new way to rally their tribe for battle. There's something about this monster's roar that drives others to fight, a war cry for hell's own army. The more tactical tribes will let their Carcharodontosaurus tear through the mid-sized creatures in their enemies' ranks, thereby building up its blood rage to take on the largest threats. Talk about shock and awe. By the time you hear the scurrying claws of the Deinonychus, it's often too late. Superior hunters, they leap from a hiding place and pounce on their prey. The Deinonychus is an agile climber as well, jumping from wall ledge to wall edge as it seeks high vantage points to lie in wait. A hungry Deinonychus tends to be fearless and will hunt prey much larger than itself, latching onto a dinosaur's back with its sickle-shaped claws, then starting to feed before its victim is even dead. While it likes its meat fresh, a Deinonychus isn't above scavenging a carcass if no other food is available. Raising a Deinonychus in captivity requires an ample food supply, as they have a fast metabolism to match their high activity level. The Deinonychus is also fiercely territorial near nests with eggs, even if the eggs aren't its own. This makes breeding successive generations a hazardous process. Unless raised from eggs, they cannot be tamed. The hunter instinct of a wild Deinonychus is so strong that it reflexively pounces on a would-be master. Even with all the other monstrosities around here, this fugitive from a creature double feature deserves top billing. I mean, Dracula's right there in its species name. And Desmodus has a shriek that'll scare just about anything out of its way. It's also shrewd enough to limit itself to victims that it can carry off into the night. Although I'm not superstitious enough to advise stocking up on garlic and steaks before you decide to track down Desmodus for yourself, I'd still advise you to hunt these horrors out in the light and away from their caves. They seem uniquely adept at flying and hiding in those dark, narrow spaces. Taming one of these beasties lets you add its eerie abilities to your arsenal. Use their unsettling scream to scatter your enemies. Command Desmodus to snatch up small prey for you. Let its uncanny power to vanish into darkness become your personal stealth mode. Desmodus has blood thinner in its saliva, which drains prey of more blood than this vampire could ever digest. If you can stomach the excess blood and drained meat your vampire pet leaves behind, you might be open-minded enough to appreciate another of its unholy gifts, a sanguine elixir that helps enthrall the most stubborn beasts. I believe Dinopithecus has been changed by ARK life. This species is definitely larger than any I remember from the fossil record, and these oversized baboons show a more pack-oriented behavior than I would have expected in their kind. Whole troops will organize around an alpha, and fall apart if that alpha is slain. Though they seem to prefer a diet of fruit, supplemented with the occasional bit of meat, Dinopitheci are opportunistic and will eat just about anything. They're also excellent climbers. I've seen them scramble up sheer cliff faces and leap between trees to scavenge food for their troop. Dinopitheci will bear sharp teeth and toss well-aimed handfuls of their own excrement when provoked. Their feces is what really sets this species apart. They've managed to weaponize a parasite in it that disables tech. I feel like that parasite deserves its own dossier. If you can manage to tame enough Dinopitheci, you'll soon find yourself with a small troop at your disposal. Your mini-troop will organize around the strongest of your tames, their new alpha, that can then direct them at a target with a shrieked battle cry. No need to saddle your tamed Dinopithecus to ride it. It will make one for you using its own tail. Just hold on tight and it will take you straight up walls and across zip lines. In battle, your Dinopithecus will fling fecal projectiles, grenades, or a combination that I like to call EBM, for explosive bowel movement. Most of the creatures I've encountered here have endured thanks to their great size, strength, or ferocity. But the Fjord Hawk gets by on its wits and by scavenging. The bird also seems to have an almost preternatural ability to predict and avoid danger. Fjord Hawks follow predators and survivors from on high, watching for their moment to swoop in and snatch up an easy meal. Tamed Fjord Hawks are surprisingly playful, and their favourite game is fetch. Indulge your bird with this play and a bit of patience, and you'll reap the rewards. Just point out a target, and your Fjord Hawk will fly off to retrieve it for you. A well-trained Fjord Hawk can locate injured prey and communicate its find to you. These clever birds will bond with humans as wholeheartedly as any canine or primate, in a way uniquely suited to this time and place. If you should meet with some grave misfortune, your Fjord Hawk will immediately fly off with as many of your belongings as it can carry. As soon as you're respawned by the ARK, your friend will track you down and return your equipment to you. Sinomacrops Bunday is a friendly and curious little pterosaur. It may approach and investigate unfamiliar creatures, but Sinomacrops does spook easily. When threatened, it will unfurl its wings to reveal deimatic eye spots in an attempt to confuse or scare predators away. Still, Sinomacrops seems to be a highly intelligent creature that craves social interaction. While it's normally curious and friendly, Sinomacrops' adorably oversized mouth turns into a deadly weapon at the slightest sight and smell of insects. Even alone, this cute little critter can take down insects far larger than itself. Unfortunately, this means that armor made from chitinous plates is going to trigger an attack response from the otherwise sweet-hearted pterosaur. Taming your Sinomacrops is fairly straightforward in theory. Just feed them without scaring them. Once tamed, they absolutely love traveling with their humans and prefer to cling to them whenever possible. Not only are they sociable, but they're fiercely protective once bonded. Any small creature approaching someone with a tame Sinomacrops will be met with its flashing eye spots and piercing shriek. That's usually enough to stun an undersized interloper. For such a small flyer, Sinomacrops can carry surprisingly heavy loads. It can even support the weight of a fully grown human adult, though it will struggle to gain altitude. Still, any creature companion that can double as a glider and parachute is invaluable for anyone traversing an ARK, as long as they bring plenty of snacks for their new friend. Up close, Tropiognathus mesembryanus is easily recognized by the keeled crests on its snout, but with wingspans up to 27 feet, you're sure to spot it before then. These large wings are not only ideal for catching air currents over its ocean hunting grounds, but they also let Tropiognathus draft off other flying creatures by flying behind them. While not the fastest flyer on the Isles, when combined with its remarkable stamina, this makes Tropiognathus well suited for long-distance flight. Because it's on the wing so much, Tropiognathus is best snared by those riding another flyer. I've noticed the more clever tribespeople using chain bowlers to capture them while airborne. Once tamed, Tropiognathus has proven quite useful to the people of the Isles beyond mere transportation. Its toothed beak can grind down many common goods to their base components, which is a great way to recycle items and gear. Well, so long as you have a rag handy to wipe off the spit. That bite is punishing enough to crack armor and grind through it over time, and Tropiognathus can blow away flora and fauna alike with a gust from its wings. Air-to-air combat is where this creature really shines, though. And with the right tools, some survivors have managed to fit them with a saddle-mounted flat cannon and jet engine for maximum lethality. Trust me, you haven't lived until you've ridden a jet-powered pterosaur into a dogfight. Saddle one up and see for yourself. You can be my wingman anytime.